Let's quickly go over the SOH CAH TOA. So remember, S represents sine with opposite over hypotenuse. C represents cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. And T represents tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. We're going to use this again today, and this is kind of a review of what we've done before to solve for a missing side. So it says round each answer to the nearest hundredth. So here we have, cross off that 40 millimeters, it's going to be moved down. So if we look at problem number 1, we're looking to find EB. EB is right here. Okay, so our reference angle is angle D. Now, if you go across the triangle to this X, that is the opposite side. Right here, BD is across from the right angle, which would be the hypotenuse. So think of which one in SOH CAH TOA uses opposite and hypotenuse, and in this case, it's side. So we're going to be doing the sine of our reference angle, 48, is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So think about how to solve for x, and since we're dividing, we're going to have to multiply. So you multiply by 13.7 on both sides. So in your calculators, make sure that it's in degrees, so you would hit mode, and then make sure its degree is highlighted, and then second mode gets you out of there. But you're going to type 13.7 times the sine of 48. And to the nearest hundredth, which is 2 decimal places, your answer is going to be 10.18. In problem number 2, I told you to cross off this 44. It's a floater. Our reference is angle A because that's where the angle measure is. Now, across that is 9.8, so that's opposite. And we're looking to find AB, which is where X is going to go. Since it's the side not across from the 90-degree angle, this is going to be the adjacent side. So which one uses adjacent and opposite? And in this case, it's going to be tan. So we're going to take the tangent of the angle is equal to the opposite over adjacent. Now, the difference between this problem 2 and number 1 is that where the x is placed. If the x is in the numerator, then you would just multiply by the number in the bottom. But if x is in the bottom, if you remember, we are able to take these and switch the trig function and the variable. So you're going to have x equals 9.8 divided by the tangent of 12. So in your calculators, you do 9.8 divided by the tangent of 12, and you're going to get 46.11. Let's take a look at the second number 2. Here we have a reference angle. It's angle F. Okay, we're looking to find FD. So the side that is not across but forms that angle with the hypotenuse is called the adjacent side. And then the side that we're looking for is across from that 90-degree angle, which is the hypotenuse. So which trig function uses adjacent and hypotenuse? In this case, we're going to use cosine. So we take cosine of our angle, which is 52, set it equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is another one of those where we have to switch the trig function and your variable. So you're going to have x equals 31 over cosine of 52. So go ahead in your calculators, 31 divided by cosine of 52, and that'll give you 50.35. And that's your answer. That little 40 millimeter that was a floater, that one goes right here. So what happens if we don't have a trig or a designated angle with an angle measure? In this case, we have a right angle or right triangle, and we have our 2 legs. So if we're looking for TE, which is the hypotenuse, we are always allowed to use the Pythagorean theorem. So we would say 9 squared plus 40 squared is equal to x squared. Sorry, my handwriting's messy. 9 squared is 81. 40 squared is 1600. Okay, so when we add these together, it's 1681, and the square root of that is 41. So in this case, TE is 41. Now, if you go to your homework, so pause the video and take out your homework packet, we're going to do a few of these together. The first one we're going to look at is number 81. Number 81 is a isosceles triangle. With an isosceles triangle, we are allowed to draw this thing called an altitude, which is from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Okay, so what we're doing is now we have to find this piece, just this one small piece, and we're only going to look at that right side of the triangle. So here we have an adjacent and we have a hypotenuse. So again, we're going to use cosine. So we're going to take the cosine of 59, set it equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And since our number is in the denominator, let's multiply by that. So in your calculators, type 13 times the cosine of 59. And that's going to give you 6, we're running to the nearest tenth, so it's going to be 6.7. Now that's only this highlighted piece, and I want to know the whole thing. So what we're going to have to do is add 2 of those or multiply it by 2. So the whole length of x is 13.4. I want to do one more problem with you, and that problem is number 85. So think of how we did our right triangle trig, where we had to start at one side of a triangle and work our way to the other. So our first triangle we're going to start with is on the left-hand side. So we need this piece here. So if 55 is our reference angle, across is the opposite, and the 18 is our hypotenuse. So here we're going to use the sine. The sine of our reference angle, 55, is equal to our opposite over our hypotenuse. So again, 18 is in the denominator. So let's multiply. 18 times the sine of 55 gives you 14.7. So we're going to replace that one piece with 14.7. Now we're going to look at the triangle on the right. So using 27 as our reference angle, we again have our opposite and our hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine again. Sine of now 27 is equal to 14.7 over x. So this one, we just have to do the opposite, where we're going to switch those. So you have x equals 14.7 divided by the sine of 27. So in your calculators, go ahead and type that in. And you're going to get x equals 32.4, because we're rounding to the nearest tenth, so we have to round up. Your homework today is going to be numbers 79 through 88. Okay, so go ahead and start your homework, number 79 through 88. I'll be going over all questions tomorrow.